Today we have a very special guest, Miguel Wilson. He's an award-winning and celebrity fashion designer. He has a location here in the Phipps Plaza located in Atlanta, Georgia. He's Miguel Wilson Collection. Miguel, welcome to the Space.
Thank you, Dave.
I wanted to start by touching on sort of your background and how did you get into fashion?
Well, my father, my grandfather both were really great dressers growing up, so I think they strongly influenced my love for clothing and dressing well at a young age. And you know, my education was in business, so I studied business undergrad as well as an MBA. And not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, I got into fashion with a guy who actually made my suits. Yeah, and he and I started a company together, and I learned a lot of things, doing that first company. So that was my start.
You just branched out and started,
Then I branched out and started on,
Okay. And I also wanted to ask about, even heading to your shop here, I understand this is a high-end mall. There's Gucci, Louis Vuitton, a lot of high-end brands here. What are you're basically competing with international companies. So what are you doing as far as to stand out, and how are you maintaining your audience in the midst of these international brands here?
Well, I think the key is kind of not carving out my own wedding attire for men. And while some of the places that you mentioned may carry tuxedos here and there, we do a very extensive collection of offerings for men deciding to get married. But even beyond just the clothing, I think it's also the service level we provide. I think we cater to guys getting married, and I think that resonates particularly with a lot of brides wanting to send their grooms to us to have that special experience.
Okay, so they're making the decision, this is where you're going to get your suit from.
Exactly, and this is, so we'll have a lot of guys come in from, various parts of the country for us to see us do that.
And just as far as like with branding and carving out your niche, those are some of the things that you're doing right. What would you say as far as for people like looking to get into the fitness industry? What are some things that you're seeing that they're
Fashion,
doing something wrong?
Well, I think that one, I think there's a lot of people doing a lot of things in fashion, but to specialize in a certain area or to have a specialty is very helpful for people to know you for a certain thing. Okay, because to have generic offerings, just to say hypothetically suits, well, what's different about your suits than other suits? So you have to be able to articulate in your marketing what that difference is and to be able to capture a certain market. So specializing, or at least being able to align yourself with a certain demographic and so forth, I think is very important in being able to carve out a niche for yourself.
So it comes back to branding.
But then the branding, is behind that. I think that, when you understand who your customer is and you develop a message that speaks to that customer, that is all tied in with the brand as too, so people can understand when they do see your logo or your company, they kind of identify with things that you market to.
And capturing like your niche, it seems like you have like a solid business plan as far as like all the way through. Is there anything that you wish you have known starting out?
Well, you gotta understand, I didn't start out doing it this way. I went through a lot of, I had my previous company, which was Executive Clothiers. We did a lot of really important events and had a lot of significant clients and so forth. The thing was, I was never able to really capture a market where people knew we were the ones behind the work. So as I, went through a period of failure where I had to rebuild, and in the process of doing that, I looked at everything that I did wrong, evaluated the roadmap to what I felt, helped me achieve the goals I set. And you know, looking at the wedding industry, I felt that it lacked a brand, a name in which men could identify themselves with for, you know, high-end wedding attire. You know, for me, it was, you know, rental. And, you know, it just never made sense to me how women would spend thousands of dollars on a gown and a man would rent a tuxedo. So I kind of brought to light, and that's why I created the slogan, because it's his day too, to help men and women understand that this is just not about the women. It's a day in which we celebrate the man as well. And that kind of, I think, resonated with a lot of people.
I definitely, I love that slogan. I look forward to posting your wedding post as well. So, what was I say, an important resource for you over the course of the journey?
Man, the greatest resource has been experience. You know, being able to understand, you know, things that work, things that didn't work, and I will tell you that being able to, one of the other great resources, being able to, you know, attract the right people around, be it tailors and be it partners and so forth that work with me daily. I think that's been a huge benefit and value to the growth of our brand.
That actually leads into my next question. So, for people that's watching and saying, "Hey, I want to, you know, be the next Miguel Wilson," what advice would you give them?
Well, I think one would be understanding. You know, there's a lot of aspiring designers, right? And I always tell people that the difference between a hobby and a business is sales, right?
Correct.
So you can have a hobby of doing clothing. If you desire to turn it into a business, you need to do what they call, you need to test the market. You need to have, make sure that, you know, what you're doing is something that people want. So work with your friends, your family, and try to, you know, sell to them and get honest feedback from them as to, you know, whether they feel that, you know, your product or service is something that, you know, is really good or something that, you know, you need to go back and work on some more. So that would be the first step, you know, being able to understand your value to the industry.
And I'm going to ask, as far as for testing the market, like, what is the process as far as for coming up with a design? Are you changing your design based off of, okay, this year I want to go for this look? What is the process? How do you come up with those ideas?
You know, I get inspirations from so many different areas. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I was once in a restaurant, and in the restaurant they had like pictures of bullfighters. Okay, they had pictures of bullfighters, and you know, and the attire, the matador, you know, was dressed in these like really beautiful garments. Man, it was crazy. So that inspired me to create some looks that kind of resemble the matador. So, you know, I've done a lot of things around that, and that was the inspiration to sit in that restaurant seeing the look. So it can come from almost anywhere. I mean, I could be sitting somewhere and see something and just like, wow, okay, that beautiful. It could be a color, it could be a design, it could be anything.
So you're always looking.
Well, I mean, I see and observe, you know, and then certain things resonate with me, you know.
And outside of like colors and like designs, is there a particular person that you look up to, admire in the industry? Someone in particular inspire you?
Yeah, well, definitely, you know, love Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, this is here.
Really?
Yeah.
You're wearing my clothes in here, right? But I'd like, you know, I'm a polo enthusiast, and I used to, but just the variety, the scale in which he does things is, you know, very beautiful. It's nice things. I mean, it's just Tom Ford. Like, I like some of the same designs as everyone else likes. It's just that, I try to carve out my own niche and my own space, doing it the way I want to do it. So, while, I can be influenced by different things, it always has to have, like, Miguel Wilson finish to it. So.
Right, for own touch.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, because we're looking at, just recently won the Fashion Icon Award as far as being the male designer of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you? That pinnacle moment of achievement? Did that feel for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, anytime you've been recognized in an industry with so many great, talented designers, it's an honor. And, we just go to work every day doing what we love doing, and that's a gift in itself. Have people to take a moment out of their life and say, hey, you're doing a good job, and we recognize you. That's a blessing, and I don't take that lightly. I really appreciate it. And feel very fortunate to be able to shine amongst so many great other designers.
So, I was going to ask, so we're going to put a link as far as to your Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and the page, but you have not only just like cultivated an audience of people looking as far as getting married, but you also have a celebrity clientele.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen anybody who's everybody in Atlanta as far as stopping by and you're working with them. Is there any secret or advice as far as to developing like a relationship as far as to hire clientele people?
Well, I think that I've been fortunate to have them reach out to me because they see something that they like. And a lot of times it's the stylists and the people behind the scenes who bring my clothing forth. So it's not always just the artist or the celebrity himself. It's the people behind the scenes. So my advice would be, developing relationships with the stylists and the other people that have influence with the celebrities. So it's not generally them always that even make the decisions. So understanding that, I think, is key.
And I didn't want to lose time in your interview because I noticed that you have a charity,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to just include this as far as the interview. Could you explain as far as like what your charity does and what it benefits? Who it benefits?
My charity is Ride to the Olympics Foundation. It is about exposing equestrian sports to inner city kids that normally would not have access or opportunity to be able to ride a horse or to be able to play polo or be able to go to a horse show. And while the horse is the catalyst, it's also a catalyst for exposure and change. Being able to take a kid who might live in a rough environment and bringing them out to the country to experience a moment of peace and around animals is an amazing thing, because that was, quite frankly, my experience growing up in D.C. And one thing it did for me was also expose me to people who could be a catalyst for change. As you can imagine, most people who own farms or horses or in this polo and stuff like that have access to so much, be it career opportunities, be it educational opportunities. Just giving kids opportunity to come out and even work summer jobs and things around horses and so forth. I think that teaches them responsibility, helps them to just have access to something other than what they normally would. So, whereas a lot of kids have access to football and basketball, I think we have a lot of potential great polo players in certain areas that polo doesn't exist.
Right.
So tearing down that wall of division between people is one of the key things that our foundation does.
So it's amazing. I've been following your event. That's why I wanted to just make sure we ask about that and put that out there.
Yeah, the event we do is Atlanta Fashion and Polo Classic, and it's a party, a fashion show, and a polo match, and it's where culture and class connect. it benefits the foundation, but it's about being able to allow people to experience polo, our people experience polo and the environment and atmosphere with our culture in mind. So that means we have our type of food, our music, our just an experience that is luxury, yet still with you know African American influence or culture.
Perfect catering, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Miguel, I appreciate you coming on the show today, and I can definitely see your passion as far as your clothing and your connections as far as throughout Atlanta. So I definitely appreciate you stopping by.
No, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.